Do you hear like a buzzing? Oh, it was your phone ringing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. I can hear it. So I feel like for me, like I'm sorry, like there's a glare in my glasses. When
You're
brands
adorable.
come
It's fine.
okay. When brands come to my page, I really want them to think that I'm professional and that I am like somebody that they can count on and trust and things like that to do a good job. And in order to do that, I feel like my page has to be somewhere that they want to be. So I used to have it, and I thought it was cute at the time. Do you see Kiki? Hey.
Hey, sorry, it's crazy. My actual computer won't work, so you're getting my weird phone view until it works.
Oh, I love your foggy phone view.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, we're talking design. So I think, anyways, like, okay, so my page used to have, I don't know how many of you knew my page when, other than Paula, knew it like a long time ago.
Me.
Yeah. It had like this big green header and like this cartoon woman with like a
I like your cartoon woman.
I know. My parents did too. They were like, don't change it. But I ended up like one day I just swapped and I went to like a completely like white and like bright colors and clean and just kind of less like cluttered, if that makes sense. And I saw my traffic go up. It really spiked. And I think it was because before I had like so much on my page, it was like cluttered feeling. I don't know how to describe it. And now I feel like it was like a little more peaceful and you could think when you were on my page. And so from then on, I've been really like diligent about telling people that I really feel like it's important to have a page where it looks professional. So my mom told me one time, and I really thought it was true. She said, when people come to your page, oh, look. Oh, I didn't see it. When people come to your page, she said, you don't want them to think that you're just the girl next door writing, because even though like that's great for our stories, like you still want to look professional. And
the
that's
professional girl next door.
Yes, exactly.
It's like there's a fine line between that being professional and then being just like everybody else. So
yeah. Yep, I completely agree.
And from the outsider perspective, although I didn't really like your cartoon girl at the time, I feel like it took your site specifically from very generic looking to your site looks like you now. And I know what to expect from your site, whereas the cartoon character you had, she was adorable, but nobody knew who you were. And
I agree.
You don't want your site to look generic. You want it to look like something that when people see, like right now, Becky's site on Your Modern Family, there's like this little house logo and stuff. When you see that, you're like, that's Becky. And hopefully when you see my little like splash logo, you think that's Paula. You know exactly what our sites are because of that branding.
Yep, I agree. And the one that I had before was a theme that I bought, so a lot of other people could have had that. Now the theme I have now is also a theme. I have but it wasn't that like header could have been different places. But yeah, I just like now I really think that it's really important that you do have like a logo. So even if you like hire someone or you just do your own, I mean, Mickey did his own, and just to have like something that's yours and that, like Paula said, when they see it, they're going to be like, oh, that's so-and-so. And that every time, even if it's like just your name written, like if you do it the same every time, same font, which was a mistake I made in the beginning, is every time I would write my name out, I was like changing the fonts and then like it wasn't recognizable because it was different every time.
Okay, can we pause really quick?
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying they're having sound issues. So in each person's square, you can turn their sound on and off for yourself. Bottom left of each person's square. So that might be what's happening. If you can't hear one or all of us. So.
And try to refresh. I'm waiting for Blab to let me on the computer so I can stop being foggy. So I'm sitting here and it's like finding the stream and it's
oh my gosh.
So.
But while you're foggy, Kiki, you and I have talked about this a lot. Can you talk over some of the design faux pas that people do sometimes that like we think it's really cute, like the cursor with the little trail coming from it or whatever, that it's like, it seems so cute at the time. Not anymore.
Yes. Wait, I don't know what cursor thing you mean. But,
oh my gosh. When you move your mouse around and there's like stars or like streamers or something flying from it. Yeah. It was super cool like 10 years ago. I may or may not have had that on one of my blogs. Ashamed.
I'm sure you did because you've been blogging forever.
I totally did. I thought it was so cool.
For me, the big faux pas are kind of what Becky just mentioned, like the switching everything all the time. And I say that, but I'm every now and then I do that. Like I have a few fonts and I kind of fool around, and every year I might change a little bit, but you try to pick those same fonts. You try to pick, you know, even as far as whether you use stock photos or non-stock photos, like that matters. And so, you know, you need to be consistent with that.
Let me like throw out something that's just driving me crazy. It's actually what I'm doing right now. So like my friend Hillary blogs at the Coal Mines, and she just got turned down from a sponsored post company, like a whole company, which Paula, the one that I'm like not a fan of, they just turned her down because it wrote like they emailed her back and it said because she's using too many stock photos. So I'm like,
interesting.
A lot of brands have been saying that lately. We were actually talking about that this weekend, and I think it's because Becky and I have been talking about this some, that stock photos allow people to be super inauthentic and like, oh, I don't have a dog, but I'll go ahead and write about that dog food company and throw a stock image of a dog in there and pretend like he's my dog. And so I think that's the reason that brands are cracking down, is that stock photos allow us to be inauthentic with our sites.
Yeah.
So
they
want
to make sure that both. I wouldn't be like, if they would like dive into a post, like the featured image is always a stock, but like inside she throws way more pictures than I do in there.
Yeah.
So I'm like bothered by it a little.
Well, I think for me, like the, and this is just me, and I'm not as like page views and all that kind of stuff as both of you guys are, but like for mom blogs, I personally don't like stock photos. I don't. And they may perform better, but I think in the long run, they're not going to. And maybe that's part of that shift that's happening is with those brands, because like I'll go in and see a post that's super personal and yeah, like you're saying, maybe it's just the featured photo, but some of those ones, it's like, oh, that's not actually the mom. Like then you look over, like if you've never been to a site before and you go in and you read a post about, you know, being with your kids and talking about, you know, something really personal with your kids, and they have this photo in there, and I've never been to your blog before, and then I look over in the sidebar and they've got a photo and it's actually you, I feel a little bit like, oh, well, who's this lady? Like I personally do not like stock photos in mommy blogs as much, and I know they're everywhere, and I know that's
they are,
and they look really professional, and a lot of people don't want their kids, which is why a lot of people do use them as well.
You know,
but for me, if you're writing, especially if it's more personal, even if you're like trying to solve people's problems, I would rather see you and your kids.
Well, and what I've been seeing,
I think those do well, but
yeah, they do well. And like about a year ago, if you didn't have a stock photo, your stuff didn't get clicked because people were wanting that professional, they were wanting that magazine feel. And now it's kind of swinging back the other direction where people are wanting that authentic, I want to know you. There's no reason for you to be on my blog versus Becky's blog versus Kiki's blog versus anybody else's if you don't know who we are. And so the market kind of got overwhelmed with all these impersonal tips. And so we lost Kiki.
I know, we lost it.
So it got overwhelmed with all these impersonal tips, all these stock photos. You can write about anything you want because you just throw a stock photo in there. But the thing is that so what I've been doing is doing both. Because
hold on, can you guys hear Paula? Because there's messages that they can't hear you.
Yeah, Horace can, but it seems like everybody else can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So stock photos are still performing well on Pinterest, but I'm finding on Facebook that they're really not. Like my personal photos are performing better there. But if you think about it, people go to Facebook for a story, you go to Pinterest for tips. And so that I think is the reason why that's kind of being turning the tides that way right now. But and it's harder to get a good personal photo.
It is. I know.
That people will click on, but it does. It makes you so much more authentic and so much more fun. Even if, find the balance for you in your blog and what people are clicking on. But for me, that's the balance I'm finding is that I want a Pinterest stock photo and then the rest is going to be personal because that's the kind of blog I'm running.
I feel like I have success with having stock photos that don't look like stock photos too, like cutting off their heads and like having ones from like behind, because like it is hard to get like a picture of like, I don't know, like some posts that I write where like I really need like a certain specific, that I have something specific in mind, and like I find a stock photo that would be perfect for it. And like they're bright, and like the pictures I take in my house are like, they're not bright. They're usually taken with my phone. I take a million. I took like at least 20 this morning already because the kids were singing, and I just took so many. And so it's not like I don't have them, but I do think that like, the personal pictures do better. And my like ultimate goal is to have the readers that I have be like true followers. And I think to do that, you do have to have personal pictures. But it bothers me about this because I was like, okay, 90% of the people that work with this company are using stock photos. So I don't think that you can throw a rule out there and say, we're not going to hire you or even let you work with us ever because you have stock photos, unless you're going to go to the rest of the group that's working with you and say, from now on, we're not going to do stock photos anymore. Sorry, I take it like personally because I've really been helping her and like she's doing so well.
That's sad. I'm going to read from the comments because when we put this to YouTube, they don't come. So Elaine Mingus made a really good point. She said personal photos do well for personal blogs, but stock photos for sites like Desiring God or Proverbs 31 Ministries work a little bit better. So that's so true. It's depending on the type of site. Like Desiring God is not a personal blog. Neither is personal or Proverbs 31 Ministries. There's a lot of really big blogs out there that are not personal sites. So naturally they don't use personal images. That would be weird. You wouldn't want that from them. So kind of figuring out what you want from your blog. And if you're wanting that personal community feel, then it is important to bring in those personal photos. They need to look good. That was also my problem a few years ago, is that I would just throw up a random image like, oh, I'm talking about diapers. Here's a random photo of my kid in a diaper. And it was an awful picture that no one ever wanted to look at. And so if you're going to use those personal images, make sure that they match with your brand, what you're trying to communicate, and what the post is even about, that people want to click on them, because the point is that people need to click no matter what the image is.
You know what I found too is if I can use a really good stock photo like that doesn't look like a specific person, but like it could be anybody, but when say that's like the way that they're clicking, like they're like, that looks like a great picture, so I'm going to click on it. But when they come to my page, I can have my photos scattered throughout, so then it's like getting the best of both worlds. Like I've gotten them to my page and then they're enjoying what they've read on my page and they're feeling like they know me on my page, so then it kind of keeps them there. But like I don't know that they would necessarily have clicked on a picture of like Bo making a crazy face or something, you know what I mean? Like on a random
day. Platform.
Yeah.
They would on Facebook for sure.
Yeah, like Pinterest, that would not do well.
No. Well, I was going to suggest something. And again, sorry, I'm foggy my computer. I'll show it to you what it's doing. It's doing this.
Yay.
Yeah, so it won't load.
The internet.
I was here like before it started waiting for you guys to join, and then like the minute it started it kicked me off. So anyway, what I have started doing is actually taking my own stock photos, and no, they're not as good. But I will go around like when it's a really nice day and I'm taking pictures of my kids, I'll take extra pictures. And if there are ones where I'm like, this could go with any parenting post, and I will put it in my stock photo folder on my computer. And then you can go through and edit those things. Or like if I make like, I'm having breakfast, I'm like, my coffee looks really awesome this morning. I will take pictures of my coffee.
My Diet Coke, that's really good.
Or my laptop, or, you know, my podcast microphone. And then anytime that I'm doing a post about blogging, I have my laptop and I have my table and I have my cup of coffee, just like all the stock photos, but no one has the exact one I do because I took it at my table.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So I think you can do that.
I like that.
And I actually found, so I have a really nice DSLR. I've gotten to be, you gave me actual props. Thanks.
I was being serious.
I've gotten pretty good with my DSLR, and especially with food photos, but I have found that I have actually been using this year for my personal, like the ones about being a mom, and some of the ones that have actually performed really well. I have taken those photos with my phone, and then I'm using an editor. Like I've actually been using the app, I don't know even how you say it, VSCO Cam, Bosco Cam, which is it's a kind of high end. It makes all your pictures look a lot more quality and fancy. So it's VSCO.
A lot more quality.
A lot more quality. So it's like, you're not going to think it's just an iPhone photo. I mean, an iPhone, the camera on there is actually pretty good. So if you can figure out how to take good photos, and then you can update them in a way that they don't look like a, you know, whether it's using a filter, but I think the filters on VSCO Cam are much better than like PicMonkey or even Instagram's filters.
Is that a free app?
It absolutely is. I'll type it into the comments once I
because I have like a $5 app that I do that with, so a free one would be much better.
So this one's free. And a lot of people use it.
I love the one we use.
Yeah, if you use the hashtag VSCO Cam, it's a big hashtag on Instagram as well. So,
nice. Yeah. We use, I think, PowerShot or InstaShot Pro or something like that, but it's like $5, so Kiki's is definitely better.
Okay, so let's get back to design for a few. I think or it doesn't matter. And we can spend all day talking about pictures. We talk about this a lot.
Either way.
Do you guys have questions about design or pictures? And that can kind of lead us where we want to go.
Yeah, if somebody wants to jump in now. A lot of people were trying to jump in at the beginning, but I was waiting for Becky and Kiki, so I didn't allow y'all. Sorry. I'm not trying to hate on y'all.
Which I actually sent her a photo that didn't come through of my my thing saying loading, but it just popped up and said, your message to Paula failed to send.
Ah.
Yeah. Okay, so anyways, let's we can combine the two. On our on both of our blogs, we're using both. We're using stock photos and personal photos. A lot of times on Facebook, we'll pop in, you know, that little link pops up at the bottom. We'll put a personal one there because sometimes that does do better. But then on your regular one, it could have a stock photo so that when they're clicking to, if they want to pin it or whatever, it's going to do a little better than if you just had a picture of you and the kids. And then my suggestion for your site is that on your homepage, you would have all of your photos being the same size so that when someone looks at your page, it's going to look really consistent and it's going to look clean. On my before I got the theme that I have now, on my old one, it was I could use any size picture. And I was using the long ones. I was using squares, circle. I seriously didn't matter. I didn't even think about it. But now that I just use squares, 650 by 650 on my homepage as my feature image, it looks so much better. But when you click to the page, it's a Pinterest one usually, unless I don't have time, which I feel is a lot anymore. And then I just throw it in there too. Hey!
You like my pajamas?
They're awesome.
I figured I'd join. Why not?
Yes.
Yeah, Elaine is actually you are a designer, so Elaine has a lot of good.
Oh, good.
What would be kind of your tips and stuff for branding and doing all that for people who are bloggers?
I agree. I'm taking Ruth Sukup's course on EBA, which has been amazing. And, there's a lot of things I did, even as a designer, before I took her course that now I'm not doing because, her advice works better. And one of the things is definitely keeping a consistent font. And so I have two fonts. I have a sans serif font and a serif font that I use in all my images. And all my images now look really branded. I use it for my logo as well. So I think that is, sorry, I have a baby. Using consistent fonts, not using too many fonts. And Becky or Paula said, making sure that all your images are consistently sized on your homepage, especially because it just looks better in general on phones, especially. So
it's funny you said the font. This weekend I was at Social Media on the Sand, which was beautiful in Turks and Caicos, and I was there with I hung out a lot with Stacy of Kid Stuff World and Jamie of Totally the Bomb. And Jamie was telling us, and she also works on Kids Activities Blog, and Jamie was saying that she started doing that every one of her pictures now has the same font. And she was like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I only use that font on the pictures because then it keeps it so well branded. And it's one of the ones that'll never really go out of style. So it's interesting that you said that.
I keep thinking I need to choose a font. I'm so indecisive about my fonts.
Yeah.
No, I have two that I love and I use those. But I know. Then that new one just came on. It starts with a B and it has that XT at the end. But I like that one too now. But my favorite is Geo Sam's Light. It's just that it's so small that it's hard. I know, I love it. And I like Chris the script one, but I forget what it's called.
It also it streamlines my design process because then I'm not thinking about what font looks good with this, or this. And it really takes hours away from my design process when I have to think about fonts because I have over 3,000 fonts on my machine.
Yeah.
So go through that isn't just insane.
Okay, you guys, by next week, I'm going to stop being indecisive about my fonts. Committing right here, right now.
Another
I love
thing
them all.
Is I'm the same way. Is I heard when I was going to my new, I researched so much about design before I rebranded, and it had said to use 3 colors. So almost like you do in a house. I think it's 70% one color, 20% another color, and then 10% is your pop of color. And so, you do it in your house. That's what you should. Kiki, I see you
we don't see
doing
you,
this.
No,
but not on there. but anyway, so that's what it said, like when thinking about your blog. And I've tried to be consistent with that on, like we do it on our Becky and Paul page and it's on the B2B page. And we kind of just, it's like, just I don't know, a good thing to not like throw too many colors in there, but to try to be consistent with that.
That's
too.
also me. Is that if you go to my house, like there's like 2 rooms in my house have the same paint color. Like my office has 2 different colors, my living room has 2 different colors. I'm super indecisive about color, and I paint them all. And it looks
mine's
like
nautical. Are you surprised?
House because I have like bright yellow and I have gray and I have turquoise and it's super fun. And my husband's like, "Oh my god!"
So funny.
So that's
like
translates over to my blog, and Becky's like, "If you stop using colors, you need to just type in black. You need to stop."
Yeah, it's easier, and you do that now. Like, yeah, I think for fonts, if you can stick to black, and then a lot of times I do like a pop of color as like my word. So like,
for one word,
like save money today on da da da. Then like money would be like whatever color would like go with the picture.
I also used to do that thing where every letter in a word had different colors.
Oh my gosh.
This is showing how long I've been blogging.
I put a link in the comments for Andrea Beltrami, the interview that I did with her on the podcast for B2B. And she is fantastic and just was really specific about how you can do your brand, kind of like basically she recommends kind of sitting down and doing like your own style guide for, and I'm going to actually leave another link in there to make up for all my crappy visuals. I'm leaving lots of good love in the comments.
Yes.
I just can't, I don't know. I think they're working on the internet in the building I'm in, so it won't work on my computer.
Good.
I know.
Good.
Thanks, so just left a link on how to create a brand style guide. So that will be like, if you're struggling with colors and fonts and all that stuff, then go check that out, the how to make a style guide for you. So.
Let me ask. Sorry. Let me ask y'all a question about. I know that Paula and Becky and even Kiki have very similar styles in the way that they post their Instagram photos, kind of a paragraph down after your SEO. What is the difference in the way you style your?
What you're saying.
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay.
No, I heard you. I was trying to think of what you meant by Instagram photo, but you mean like the picture on
the square 600 by 600.
Yeah.
What is the difference between what you put on your Instagram photo versus what you put on your Pinterest photo versus what you put on your Facebook photo? Because mine are all just different versions of the same thing.
Me too. I take one picture that I've like bought or used or have, and I just rework it into every single size. Because I don't post it 2 places on so I post it on the home page, but then usually if I'm using it again, I only do like a Pinterest size. So if they want the square, they can get the square off of the like homepage. But if they want the Pinterest size, and then for the Facebook one, I do the same picture too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know which one I noticed, but I think it was Paula. You wrote the potty training book, right?
No, Becky did.
I did. That's so funny.
Sorry.
I feel like we get mixed up all the time.
Sorry.
Okay.
Well, I know that like and I think it must be, I don't know, maybe, I don't know.
I talk about her potty training all the time, so.
But I know that like, I've seen on y'all's site that y'all have different images for the same post.
Oh, yeah.
And like, almost like one will say, how to potty train your child in a weekend. And the other one says, are you having potty training troubles or something like that? And it'll have different images. Are you finding that they perform better?
I do that a lot. And for one thing, it's just to experiment to see what phrasing does better, what people are going to end up pinning. And so that's just an interesting experiment for me. And like different people are drawn to different types of images too. So
I do so many different ones.
Really
or I'll like switch them out.
Yeah, so they might not like the top image, but they'll pin the one below it. And then also what I've been doing, and this has been helping a lot actually, is that for more personal posts that I write that like no one cares about on Pinterest, I'm actually making a Pinterest image that says tips for blah, 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 blah. And even though there's not like 4 tips, like bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm muting you. Sorry. Even though there's not bullet point tips, 1, 2, 3, 4 tips here, all 4 tips are in that post. And if they go read it, they're not going to be like, what the heck was she talking about? She clickbaited us and she was lying. Like the tips are there. But when you go to Pinterest, you don't want like a story about my life. You want like, let me tell you how to live your life better. And so I've been making that Pinterest image different. And I feel like it's a way to test out different titles. It's a way to test out different headlines. Like, I'm not going to go back and change that headline, but I'll go play with images until it goes viral. Like, that's my thing. If I think something's brilliant, I'm going to go change those images 100 times until I get the post to go viral. If I know that it's a good post that I really, really like, and it's been working. So
yeah, that's good. I do the same. I go in and I change images a lot, just based on what I think would do well. And like, I might even make an image, like Paula said, I make an image just for Pinterest. It won't even be on my page. I'll make it, I'll upload it to Pinterest, and then I go in and I edit the source so that they come back to my page. And I might do that like 4 times for a post that I think will do really well, or a post that is doing well. And it's just like, maybe it's doing really well on Facebook, but not so much on Pinterest. I'll go and like make pictures just for Pinterest.
Well, and you can put those in your post. Just when you go in to edit your image, make it a customized size 000 by 000, and so then when people click the pin button, like in their thing, it'll come up, but it's not actually in your post. So I actually do that sometimes. Again.
Oh my gosh! Write a tutorial on that. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah,
Pinch
of Yum is a good one.
Yeah,
they do it a different way though.
Oh, do they do it a different way? So that's the way.
Yeah, they do it different.
So.
I do post on it this week.
I'll play with fonts and with different phrasing on images by doing that as well. Like, I'll just I'll put one and then I'll have the same image. Hey, you're clear now. I'll have the same image but with different phrasing on it, just also there, because I kind of want to see what people end up pinning. Like, if they pin the one that's in the post, or if they see the other one and they like the phrasing or the fonts or whatever on that one better. Like, it's just interesting social experiment for me, and it kind of gives me more data about my readers, which is always a good thing. So throw them in there.
Yeah, do post on that. I'm echoing. Is it echoing for you guys? Okay, well, yours isn't for me. Look, this like black thing is driving me crazy.
What? Are your headphones plugged in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's just my lights. I like couldn't figure. I was like, it looks like a box or a folder, but it's like, this is where we do all of our pictures, like by these windows.
Is it still echoing?
Lighting.
It's not anymore.
Okay, my phone was on in my computer, so I turned off my phone.
That's what it is.
I like the hiding the images as well, because I don't like the posts where it's like sometimes there's too many like different choices. Yeah. You can tell the person hasn't like picked which one they really like. Yeah. But yeah, I do a lot of hiding the images, especially because I like to have big images. So like my Pinterest images, like I know you recommended a size, Becky, and Pinterest that like you can do that size that you recommend. I think it was 650 by something, but you can actually do totally different ones. Like Pinterest, I think they recommend like 700. I always do 800 by something, but that's huge on my site. Like it takes up the whole screen. So I do like to hide those images a lot of times.
You do those really, really long recipe ones that take up
I do. I do a lot of those.
You definitely want those hidden.
Yeah, I like the idea that Paula had about hiding the images. I'm going to try to pull up the Pinch of Yum.
I'm on my phone, so I can't really link to Pinch of Yum, but if you can link it there, that'd be great.
I'll find it, because I look it up like once a week because I do this.
Do they do it differently than what I just said? Because I definitely like read their thing, and I must have just skimmed it and made up my own idea about how it was
yours might. Yeah, I mean, yours, if it's working, it's working. So I don't know that theirs would be any better.
Yeah, we definitely need a tutorial in there because it's hard to explain. So,
So what are other options that we want to talk about, as far as we've talked about fonts and we've talked about like stock versus regular photos? Like, what are some other questions that people have or like related to like the idea of branding and stuff? Elaine's saying diversity of color, which I think with fonts and other things, like it should be handicap. I don't know what that means. With your fonts and stuff, I think, or your blog should have those couple main colors. And like I think Paula mentioned, or maybe it was Becky earlier, that one of them, like whatever you want people to click, like your action color should always be the same color. Like if you're, so like always use like orange or something else. Okay, so no actual diversity in stock photos. That's a big thing as well. There's not a lot of people of color in stock photos. And I actually, if you guys follow Regina, who I love, from By Regina, she actually talking about criticism that she has received. And one of the criticisms she received is that she used too many people of color in her stock photos. And she was just like appalled. And it was like, if we should be using more of them. But they're really hard to find. And so, yeah.
I would have been
Yeah, sure.
Using
Elaine,
them.
you can call back in. I was just having trouble hearing, so I kicked
And
you
use
out.
earphones,
Nothing
Elaine, if you have them as well, so it won't echo.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Okay, I'm moving away from the children because they're super loud and.
You still need
Right.
earphones if you have them, if you can get them.
Oh, earphones. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll have to go upstairs and find that. But as for, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. As for diversity, I've written a couple posts on it because I'm a designer and I go to stock photo sites all the time. It is really hard to find images of, like, if you watch, search an image for mom, there's like tons of able-bodied white women with their babies.
Oh, right.
And I have to really search for images that aren't able-bodied white women. And obviously, the able-bodied thing is important. We should take, that into consideration, but that one's, a little harder to find in general. But to make sure that we're representing all of our audience and not just part of our audience, because only white women are not reading your blog. At least you hope.
Yeah.
So I think that that's really important to do. And I saw that post with Regina about how she was getting criticism, which is just crazy because she herself is either African American or mixed. I'm not really sure, but it's just crazy that she got criticism. And I read a post on Jezebel or Salon, and those are not my favorite blogs, but it talked about how a book cover they actually put a white girl on the book cover because it sold better, even though the story itself was about a black girl. And which to me is just a sad state of affairs. So as a Christian blogger, especially, like, I want to make sure that I'm promoting diversity in my blog. And I know that some people, this is not very important, even people of other ethnicities, this is not very important, but I think that it is important, and it's something we should uphold as bloggers as a part of ethics and morality. So
Interesting.
I put a post in for 10 great sites to find multicultural stock photos.
yeah.
Awesome.
And I personally right now I'm using graphic stock, and you can find, usually stock photo sites are $600 a year, or you could buy like the $1 a day, but I used graphic stock, and there's a promo for $99 for a year of unlimited downloads. And because I guess they're a growing company, like, their photos are getting increasingly better looking. So if you're looking
That's
for,
good.
Mhm. So, all right,
Cool.
well, I'll sign out since I don't have ear.
Thanks.
The other thing with stock photos too, and Andrea talked about this in the interview I did with her, is that you can make them your own. Like, you can, crop them. Like, I think Becky mentioned this as well, that you can crop them in certain ways and, go like take a horizontal photo and just use a vertical part of it, and crop them so that they're not, because like I saw somebody was posting in one of the B2B share groups like today, and I was like, oh, I used that photo last week, and
Yeah, I hate that.
with stock photos is, it sucks when you do have somebody using the same one, especially if it's like your book cover. Like, that's when blog posts is like one thing, but like if you, you don't want that. You want your book cover to be your book cover. So that's why,
Right.
like, I like to try to take them myself, or you really want to manipulate that image, or buy an image that you own so that it's yours. So
I do what you said about like changing the images. I a lot of times I'll change something completely. Like on my Freed from Clutter book, when I bought the picture, it was like pink, like pink background, pink clothes, and purple, and I changed it all. I like went into Pick Monkey and I took that the eyeshadow tool and I like changed the color to blue, and then I like painted the walls gray with like the also, like I do it all the time. Or like I'll take a picture and I'll just like crop a tiny piece out of it. I'll just like crop a tiny piece out of it or something, just so that it like looks my own.
Yeah.
have you guys talked about putting logos on photos?
No, we have not. And
Yeah.
somebody was asking about that in the comments. So
And yeah, the question about buying stock images, are you free to use them on your blog? You have to read the print, but if you're buying them especially, like it should be yours to use however you want to. But make sure you read the print because all those companies are different. So like you want to know like what the actual...
Some of them require that you still give
attribution
credit to the photographer and different things like that.
Which I hate. That's why I try to go with the companies that don't want any, they don't care. It's like whatever you want to do. And also if you have a photographer friend, like if you have friends who do photography, be like, you know, you could trade out services like, hey, I'll put a button in my sidebar if you will take, you know, every month send me like, here's the kind of things I like. Can you just send me some stock photos, you know, that are...
I need one of those friends. If any of those friends are in
no, I like that. Yeah, any of those friends, you can trade stuff off. But I was going to say having your logo on your picture, because I know for both of you guys, I see that on your posts, and I know like every now and then I'll see a post and I'm like, that looks like something Becky would write. And then I look in the corner, I'm like, yep, your Modern Family. And sometimes you can also find when things have been scraped or stolen, because all of a sudden you see that same, and sometimes it's actually your image, because if it's a stock photo, it could be anybody's. They didn't steal it from you. But like if it's like your actual wording and everything else, they've just taken your image and cropped that out. I mean, you can't get away from people stealing your stuff, but it makes it a lot harder if you have that on there. And I have one post about roller derby that was really, I've talked to Paul about this. I keep getting, every like 6 months, I get called like an anti-feminist and a whole bunch of names on Twitter, because it's about how roller derby is a sport, not, the whole post was called "We're Not Strippers on Skates," because I had some dad say something really inappropriate to me in front of his daughter about tearing off your clothes when you play roller derby, and it's a sport. So I wrote a post about that. I know, right? The title is "We're Not Strippers on Skates," and so the image sometimes gets removed from my blog and passed around the internet, and then all these people get mad at me, and I'm like, you guys, first of all, literally, that's true. It's not stripping. Like, there's just no matter how you feel about strippers, that's what it is. But my blog name is always on there, and I'm like, finally, like this happened, every time it happens, there's always one smart person on Twitter who's like, oh, there's a website address. I think I should probably go there and look. And then they tag me on Twitter and be like, hey, do you want to answer to all these people who are hating on you? And I'm like, yes. How about you guys learn to read and go to my website? So I think it's important to have, even if it's just typing out your website address somewhere on there.
Well, and the more you see an image, the more you're going to think generally positively about it, the more that you're going to click on it the next time that you see it. So seeing that little logo, even if it's on 50 different images on Pinterest, the time that you see something like, even like, oh, I might click that, seeing that logo might be the thing that pushes them over to go, I'm definitely clicking that, because everybody's been sharing their stuff, apparently.
Mandy just asked if the pictures should be the same size within your blog post. So I think that as long as they're the same width, that's good. So all of mine are like 650. But if I have a picture that's only like 450, say it's like I'm doing like a roundup or something, and one person's picture is 450, then I either like drag it out, but if it looks blurry, then I make all the pictures 450. Because look, if you have like, I used to, when I first started blogging, I had like 150, and then I had like 600.
Like this big.
They were all like that thumbnail size. But anyway, so now, like if you could just keep them all the same width, it doesn't matter if you have like one long and then like one this, as long as they're the same, then you're good. I think it just looks better.
You can also hide, like we were talking, you can hide the Pinterest ones, and also like your Facebook ones. If you're using the Yoast SEO plugin, you can hide the Facebook shares. That's the one I do. So I'll hide that picture. So I have that image. So when you go share it on Facebook, that will come up, but you're not going to see it in the post. So it doesn't matter what size that is. So I think that's helpful.
Totally. I do the same thing, that they all just need to be the same width. And then not to like, I don't do like a food blog. I don't do a photography blog. So I have maybe 3 images max in my posts typically, unless I'm doing a photo heavy post that's like a story of my life type thing. So I don't really run into too many images. Like mine's more about the writing, but a lot of blogs are about the images. And so it might be a little bit different where you want those longer images in there. If you have a photography blog or like travel or something like that, where you're really trying to communicate via images more than you're communicating with your words. So it's about what you're trying to emphasize in your site. Let's see.
Okay. Do you guys have any more questions?
Amanda Long is joining.
Mandy, I do too. I learn new things every day. But I feel like that's what makes us good bloggers, is that we are willing to learn. Like at least 20% of my day every day is like researching. I mean, like the three of us will talk, and Angela, a lot of times we'll just talk about like different things that we want to learn and do, and that's what's going to keep you fresh. Exactly. It's like learning new things.
Amanda, I see you, but only the top of you. Where are you? You look like you're in a basement. Are you in a basement, Amanda?
Can you pull your screen down? Oh, it's frozen.
Oh,
I love Amanda. She's so sweet.
I agree.
Can you pull it down?
I wonder if she can hear us.
I don't know that she can hear us. Oh, I saw movement.
We can kind of see you moving. Look, I feel like I should open those shutters. It's so dark in here.
Then it would glare. It's fine.
This is, and you were really glary or blurry.
We can hear you only, but we can't see you.
Yeah. Well, do you have a question?
Sorry,
Tell us what you want to say, or tip or question.
There.
There you go. Hey.
Yay! Now we can
There. You guys are like going like, you sound like you're in.
Oh, right now?
Yeah, I have a question. It's a question.
Okay.
My blog is Uniquely Unfolded, and my name is Amanda Unfolded, and so my logo is Amanda Unfolded. So
Amanda, we lost you.
I've tried to put my logo on, and like I noticed how like Becky, yours is white, but it never looks dumb. Like, how do you get it to look like you do?
We lost the middle of your question.
Oh, I think she's asking about how we do the transparent logos, not the ones with like the white background, and then just like it was clearly just like cut and pasted, like the buttons.
Well, we hired Stephanie at Journey.com to do them.
Thankfully, she's in here. Steph, can you hop on and explain how you make those? Because I honestly have no idea. Hang on a second. I'm gonna
do you want me to hop
Amanda off. No, I'm knocking Amanda off so Stephanie can answer her question because I don't know how to do that.
Stephanie. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I feel like I haven't seen her in a while. Anyways.
We're blabbing with someone in Asia right now, you guys.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yay!
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Oh.
Try again. Still can't hear you.
We can't hear you, but you could just throw a baby into the screen for a second.
Yeah, just let us see you. It's fine. I still can't hear you. This is so weird. We FaceTime all the time, and I can always hear her. This is strange.
Somebody else said their Bluetooth, if that was what she was using, was not working with Blab.
Blab,
because you guys, Blab is new, and I know it always looks like we're having all these issues, and some of it's us, and some of it is Blab, you guys. It's new. It's still in beta.
I thought 80% of it's Blab. Are you off Bluetooth now? Nope, still can't hear you. She has 5 kids, so I know that we'd be hearing something from her.
That's what I was thinking. My connection's like freaking.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, now we can.
So how do you make those logos? And she's frozen.
She's frozen.
Dang it. This is what happens when you blab with Asia.
I know. Maybe she could type it in the comments or leave a link if she has like a post on it. She may not have
you could guest post for us.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
We'll bring a guest post on from her or find somebody who's talked about it in the past. Because I really we use those and they're awesome, but I don't know how to do them.
Is she talking about where they don't like your images, like your logo, or for other stuff? Like
yeah,
what?
so you know how like on our pictures, and then we put the logo on there, but it's a transparent version of our logo, so it's not like where we screenshotted our logo and then cut it out and stuck it on there where it's awkward white box.
Yeah, whenever you're designing it, you have to save it with a transparent background as a PNG file, not a JPEG.
Okay,
but I don't know.
Beyond me.
Yeah, see, I
don't even want to attempt to do that.
But you can't change it. So like if you have a file that with your image with a white background, you can't change it. It's like during the design process. Like if you ask your designer to give you your logo with a transparent background, they could do that. But it saves it as a PNG. So if you're ever because I've saved certain files that way on PicMonkey or Canva, and so you just have to choose save as PNG, and you could do like that canvas color. You do transparent background.
Very cool. And then she also, Stephanie has given us a white version of our logo and a regular color version, which is nice because in some, like, if you have a dark image and my logo is black and pink, so if the image that I'm trying to impose that on is black or dark, then you're not really going to see it anyway. So it's nice to be able to pull that white one out and put it kind of transparent, and so it's just like a little like breath of my logo on
I
it.
say, like, I like how she like does the shape, because when it's only on one of my computers, like I have to send it to my other one.
Yeah.
Because right now when I need my logo, I screenshot it and then it's a square,
Yeah,
and then
it's
it looks
lame.
like ridiculous. Yeah, but like on my other one, it's like this perfect house that she did. So
Well, a good idea
see me
too
now?
for that is to have an Evernote folder of blog files and then save all of your graphics and the stuff that you may need on different computers in Evernote as your blog files. And I have that done, and I also have like a file with all my color names.
Kiki, I've never been on Evernote. Like, I don't even know if it's a website or like an app.
No, just get on it. It's kind of like a Google Drive type thing where it just has like places you can make documents, but they actually have a really cool planner I might buy where you can actually screenshot, you can write it by hand, screenshot it, and it'll upload to Evernote, which is like, I don't know, really exciting.
So just full disclosure, guys, Becky and I are like the least technologically savvy bloggers ever because of Stephanie.
True.
She handicaps us.
Yes, I completely agree. But it's helpful.
Are you trying again, Stephanie?
Yeah, you guys have basically covered it. My connection's a little better. I think my headset was trying to interfere or something. We got all the kids for me too, so. Yeah, it's basically just a transparent ping. I believe that most design things will do that. Like PicMonkey will probably even export that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't much, but I use an app on my phone, on my iPhone, and on my iPad called Graphics now that does all that, and you can export it as like a normal image or as a transparent background ping.
Okay.
So as long as you just make sure there's nothing in the background of your file, it's only like the logo itself or whatever, then you should be able to get that effect. But if you have like a like a white background or black background or something, it's going to show up when you export it, no matter whether you're exporting it as a ping or not.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
No
Hi to the babies.
Any other one?
Design questions, quick.
I know.
Okay, I'm gonna knock you off.
Okay.
Bye,
Love
Stephanie.
you.
It's good seeing you. And was that Stanley? I think he's like
Yeah, that
gotten
was
so
Stanley.
big since your pictures of him.
We can't talk about that.
Did you guys talk about rebranding at all? Like how often you should?
Not too much. We like touched on it.
Because that's the thing, like we were talking about like the different fonts and like how new ones come out and then you're like, ooh, like I want this new font. I know for me, like I might make little tweaks throughout the year, but I try to pick the fonts that I'm going to use and then stick with them. And so for at least a year, and then if I'm going to phase some out, and then sometimes we'll go back and update the older images. But I did find, like you guys were saying, like you would go back and tweak images. So for my new blog, the Creative Writing blog, when I first started, I had this like branding idea and I was like, this is genius. And then I hated it and it wasn't performing well. And so I just redid the whole thing. And so it's very like, now that I've started doing it, if you see my images, you will know that it's mine. Like once you see one or two, you will know. See them on Pinterest or anywhere else, you'll know they're mine. And so now I'm committed to those fonts for at least a year, and I'm just going to stick with them. And they're going to be, that style is going to be my style for that site. And that's a little easier because it's not a family site, like it's design. So I can totally go get a stock photo of like a waterfall and then put something about blogging on it, and it doesn't matter. So
well, and that's the thing about when you are designing too, is that you don't want to be too trendy. Like a couple years ago when Chevron was the thing, like everybody's blog had Chevron on it. But then like 6 months later, when Chevron wasn't really the thing everybody was doing anymore, everybody had to redesign or else they looked dated. So if something is trending and everybody thinks it's cool, do not design your blog with that, because that'll just make you look like, totally 5 minutes ago or whatever, So try to choose colors that are timeless, not going to be dated. So if it's trendy, probably shy away from it. And it's more too that you're trying to create your brand, not latch on to something that's already doing well. So it's less about, oh, hey, look how trendy I am. It's more like, I want you to join me in what I'm doing, not I'm going to join what the masses are doing. Yeah.
Well, and what you can
consider that when you're branding. What
I like to do also, if I'm trying to figure out brand stuff, is I'll go on a couple different sites, but Pinterest for one, and I'll go on and I'll make a secret board of designs I like. And I don't even go to the blog. I just pin pins that have a really good design. And then I have a whole secret folder for me of the designs that I really like. And the same thing you can do, like if you're a food blogger and you're working on your food photos, Rachel Matthews from A Southern Fairy Tale recommended this because I was struggling with, I really hate mine. If you look at my food photos, the best ones, there's nothing in them. It's like just the cake. I don't have like all the, I don't have a spoon. I don't have like stuff. It's like a cake. Here it is. And so she recommended going to Food Gawker, and love them or hate them. I love and hate Food Gawker, but you can go on there and I can be like, okay, how do you take a picture of like those like protein balls? Like, cause it's just a bunch of like little tiny balls. Like, how do you take a picture of that? And so if you search for that on Food Gawker, not on Google, you don't want to search for balls on Google, but just note to self, don't do that. But on Food Gawker,
I knew you were going there. I knew it.
I had to go there. I didn't mean to go there, but I started with the balls thing. So there we are.
Yep.
So that's my big tip for the day. Search for that on Food Gawker, not on Google.
Not on Google.
But you get like 50 really quality photos of food where they've taken those protein balls and put them, in a way that looks edible and yummy. So, whatever it is, whatever kind of design you want to do, find a site where you're going to see a lot of that, and then make your own secret board or whatever, however you want to do it, or Evernote. But just save all that stuff so that you can look and then kind of decide on your own, but be like, okay, I like the way they do overlays here. I like this kind of font and that kind of thing, and then make your own.
I was just invited, I was telling Paul, I was just invited to Blog Her Food.
Blog Her Food.
Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of sessions like just about that, how to like lighting for your food, how to stage your foods. Yeah. So when I get back, I will do a lot of posts of things that I learned, because Nikki and I just started a pet blog. I shouldn't even say the name yet because it's like literally nothing, but it's like goneclean.com, because our son Ethan has like, he's very picky and things like that. And so anyways, we go to this holistic doctor, which I'm like not that type of person. I'm really like not like crunchy or whatever, but we've started to eat clean. And so I'm taking all these pictures of food, and I do feel like I'm like bowl of like rice stuff, take the picture. But like I don't have like all the cheese sprinkled in the back, like all those things that like really make it pretty. And I don't even know how to do it because I'm such like a parenting blogger, and like it's easy to blog about like cleaning your house because I just take pictures of like my kitchen or my like whatever I'm cleaning. So food's a completely different area.
For food photos too, Tasty Food Photography is a great book by Lindsay Ostrom that you can get. I can try to link it later when I'm not on my phone.
It's in the Ultimate Bundle. If they put that out again, it was in the Ultimate Bundle. I went to the Mixed Conference here in Houston, which I would highly recommend next year. I don't know where it's going to be next year, but it was a very affordable but really good small conference. And we had a 2-hour session on staging and design for food. And there was 1 hour where we sat and watched people take a photo of a sandwich. 1 hour. And,
oh my gosh, Kiki.
And they were like, we would normally take longer than this. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, no. Because I'm not a full-time food blogger. That's not my
And I don't think you can eat what you make, like what you take pictures of. Mickey and I watched a show on YouTube one time when we were like learning to take pictures like a year ago maybe. For milk, they like made glue and they dipped it on things, and then for like ketchup, they took like red paint and they like would add it to it to make it brighter, and then they like paint gloss on like half of their food, like on every corn kernel there was like gloss. I was like, it took them like an hour to prep the food. So I'm like, you just have to know that like everything you see is fake. Like you will not eat. Mine's not. Like I literally am like, wait a minute, don't eat yet. Like click, okay, time for dinner. And that's why mine don't do like, that's why I'm not a food blogger, which I have got to learn.
I know. I'm like, all those memes that are like, moms never get to eat food warm. I'm like, ×2 if you're a mom that's also a blogger.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Are you feeding your kids, and then you're photographing yours, and then at some point tomorrow you get to eat.
I know.
Oh, so I think we're almost up with time. And if anybody wants to jump in with like one more question, we can do one more. I know, Jess, you were on here earlier. Did you have a question? You can totally jump on if you do. Or if you aren't comfortable jumping on, or if you don't have
you can just
type one out, and we'll just read it out.
How to Survive Rebranding. There's a really good podcast on a certain blog about rebranding, and I will put the link in here.
Really good podcast. Who did that?
Oh, that's something I wanted to say is try not, like I wouldn't say like don't rebrand, because it's good to rebrand, but like when I rebranded, I was just so afraid I'd lose visitors, and I did lose some, but like the amount that I gained was giant. So if you're rebranding and it's a really good change, then it's going to be great. But remember, like, the reason that we don't do it too often is because people don't like change. Like, look at like Lowe's, Home Depot. Like, those ones have been around forever. I mean, they might change the layout on their page, but like their logo remains the same and things because they've been like, and they will probably always remain the same. But with that being said, the Pioneer Woman, I know I haven't been on her page in a long time, but remember it was like flowers at the top? She just changed it to now it just says like the Pioneer Woman at the top.
I'm not reading her anymore.
I just saw it yesterday. So people do rebrand. It's just
another thing that you can do as far as like if you're wanting to take your blog in a new direction. For one thing, you can always just start a new blog. There are some of us who just keep doing that. But if you have like my site, Becky and I just started like this week. I don't even know how many.
I know we have a lot.
But there are some that so like my Beauty Theory and Perfection blog, 3 years ago now, it was like this super personal, like crazy journal thing. And I decided I wanted to make money with it. And so I decided to go more towards the stock photo magazine type style that was happening at the time. And I didn't just change that in one day because I would have lost everyone. And so what I did instead was kept my normal posting schedule with the crazy journaly stuff I was doing. And then like once a week, I was adding in what I was wanting to transition into. And then until I did like twice a week and 3 times a week until that was all I was posting, what I wanted to transition to. And I actually cut most of my readers because I did it slowly. And now that we're finally, thank goodness, transferring back to a more personal type of blogging, my readers are used to like this magazine thing now. So I'm doing like 1 post a week that's just purely personal. And then I'm bringing more and more personal things into my magazine type style posts that's slowly getting my readers back to what I want blogging to be always. And what blogging I feel is transitioning back into is that authentic, you know me, I know you. We're telling authentic stories together and getting to know one another. But I can't just transition immediately from yesterday I was posting these, 10 tips to help you do whatever, to now today I'm like, here I am pouring out my soul to you. Like, no one cares that quickly.
I think that's why I love writing those ones.
What you're trying to do. So kind of make slower transitions unless you're really just like changing everything. You can make that transition a lot slower. Unless you're changing your URL and all of those things too. But that can kind of keep your readers on board with you a lot longer. And they'll feel more invested in you because they're like, I remember, like, I love Becky because I remember when she was that awkward little cartoon person and she had images that were this big and I was reading her blog anyway. And so I feel like I've been on a journey with her and her blog, and I hope that my readers are feeling the same thing with me, that like some will even comment and they'll be like, I've been following you since you were hopefulfuture.blogspot.com. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why were you even around then? It was horrible.
Yeah.
But there are people who've stuck around and they're far more invested in my blog because they've been there through all of those transitions. So that's a more it's a slow way of doing it, but I feel like you keep everyone that way, or at least most everyone. There's like 3 people that I know
have a visitor
when I changed.
The other thing I was going to say about that too, and you mentioned this in terms of like not picking brand things that are trendy, like Chevron or something that's whatever. Blogging is always changing, and so it is going to be always changing. We have to take our readers. That slow transition's good, but also realize this before you dive all in to something that's trendy now, like whether it's a certain kind of image, a certain color, or even how blogging works. Like you were saying, it moved to magazine. Now it's going more personal. If you dive so all in one extreme and you're not being true to yourself, you have to find that marriage of, okay, I really like writing this kind of post. And also it goes along with what's working right now. But if you're like, okay, magazine blogs work, I'm going to be a magazine blog. And then, oh crap, now it's I got to be really personal. You are going to lose people because you're not being authentic.
Totally.
You have to find that authentic. And I feel like you guys both do that. So it's not a like, Paula, come on.
No, it's a really good point.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, and we talk about that. Like, it is good to have both. Plus, like with sponsors, honestly, I think like those like 10 tips for snacks in your purse, that's going to work way better on like a sponsored post for me about granola bars than like today was, like I feel like I need to bring in views, and like that's how I'm going to bring in page views from Pinterest and stuff. And for a brand, I want it to have a lot of views so that they can come back again. Somebody asked earlier, what makes a picture viral versus not viral? There's like really no way to tell. I feel like that's I wish I could tell you. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Okay, stop, sit. He's like a puppy. He looks so big, but he's only like 7 months.
For both of us, I think, because you and I have talked about this before too when we were doing coaching together for someone. viral versus not viral. If you're looking through stock photos, it's the one that you have to click on to see more. I mean, it really doesn't even have to be. If you're over analyzing, you're probably going to choose the wrong photo. So look through,
like find the one
when
that like
you are
pops to
even
you.
scanning through your own stock photos, like Kiki was saying, like she makes her own, or scrolling through iPhoto on my computer. If there's one that like makes me stop and double take, well, it's probably going to make someone else stop and double take too. And as long as it's like making you double take for the right reason, not like there's a naked kid in the background or something, because we all have those photos too. Then people are going to want to click on it. So that's kind of what I try. I mean, it's very simple. Like there's more science to it than that, but I think that's the biggest thing, is like seeing what makes you stop scrolling.
And like not too busy.
Using that one.
Like if I could pick like specifics, like the ones that are like kind of plain, like if I took a picture of like this right now, like this would be so terrible because like there's a mirror, windows, this is our wall bed, like this would not work. So I try to find, okay, if you go to my homepage right now, like I just had a post, like I was messaging Paula like in the middle of the night. It's like is going viral as we speak.
Yeah.
And it's why I carry my kids. And like that picture, like I cut off their heads in that picture, and I which is like Holly Homer's tip. That she gave me one time, and so like it could be us, like it's just could be us, and so and
it could be Becky, but it also could be her reader. So that's the idea there, is that your reader wants to be able to insert themselves into that.
Yes,
image.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
If it's not you, then it needs to be a picture of them, basically. So
they want to like picture.
They're going to click on it.
Yeah, but like I liked the picture. It stood out to me because there was room to write on the side. The picture was like bright on its own. I didn't have to do a lot with it. I just felt like it like naturally worked. And it stood out to me, and that's what made me pick it. So I feel like you'll kind of get an eye for those things, and then and look around, like look at what other people, look at viral posts they've done, and like try to really dive into it. Like, is there a color that's popping? Is the picture plain? Is it the title? Because a lot of times, just making your title pop in a picture, you can't like write over a lot of stuff too often, but if you can make your title pop, and like a lot of times I'll actually buy a photo and I'll try to work the title onto the page and it won't work, and I'll buy a new one or use a different one.
Well, I think the title is one of the most important things, because you know, you could put an awesome title on almost any photo and have it work if the title is really awesome. And I do think the image matters, but I think there's that perfect marriage. My most viral post was my photo, but I think it was more the title. So like I can't emphasize enough using like the co-schedule headline analyzer and some of those tools to try to see what are the. Yeah, I'll find.
Wasn't that photo the baby feet one?
Yeah, and that was just one of my kids. Yeah. But it also wasn't my kid's face, but it was my kid's.
Right, exactly.
It was just a photo that I took.
She wrote a relatable title that everybody could relate to. I don't remember what the title was, but it was something about sleeping. So immediately everyone wants to read it already. And then, like we were saying, like you can insert yourself there because it was for kids' feet. So it was very personal. You could tell it was a personal photo, but at the same time, I'm like, I want my kids' feet to be peacefully sleeping like that. I'm going to click and see whatever she has to say. Just subconsciously, you don't even realize that you're inserting yourself into that picture. But had it been a stock photo of baby feet, it wouldn't have had the same effect as her personal one did, quite honestly. Do you remember
my neighbor?
Yeah, it was Why I Don't Get Up Before My Kids. Okay. So like that's a great title. You know, that was a good title.
That was a good one.
That I wrote in like 1 minute and did not test it. It just happened to be like a title.
I always try to think like if I'm like thinking of something, like what would somebody look for? But the same thing, like all my posts that have gone viral are ones that like nobody's searching. I still carry my kids. Nobody's searching like why kids go to bed 7. Like those things just naturally happen.
And because I think some of that is because blogging is becoming so everybody's just copying each other. So since no one, I mean, I bet 2 weeks from now, everybody's going to be talking about carrying their kids and why they pick their kids up and why they hold their 4-year-olds, because that's a post that's gone viral, and that always happens. And like I had one last month or a couple of weeks ago about being asked a question in the hospital, and it was a common interest or a common experience that a lot of people had, and so people were responding to it, but it's not an experience that we get to talk about much, and that's why it did well.
And like those ones like are just like you just like think of them on a whim. Like Mickey and I were on the plane. I mean, I wrote it like 2 days ago. We were on the airplane. We were talking about how our son like got hurt on the soccer field, and I was like, oh, I like carried him off. And Mickey was at the time he was 7. Mickey was like, babe, you don't have to carry him. He can walk. And I was like, he's her. Like, he wants his mom. And so
He's
then I was
probably
like,
your size.
he is such a little peanut. So, oh no, he's tiny. Jack is my size. Like, I just can't carry him. He like comes to here. He's 9. I'm only 4'11", for those of you that
I was
don't
gonna
know.
say Becky like comes to here. I mean, you know.
I'm so short. So it like, but anyway, so I just was like, what am I write about that? And then like those are the ones that I feel like they just do well. But my neighbor Holly wrote a post, and it was like cleaning tips, but she titled it something like my mother-in-law.
How I tricked my mother-in-law into thinking I cleaned. I remember
Yes, how to trick my mother-in-law into thinking I cleaned. Her post did so great because of the title. Now, when you went in, it was literally like cleaning tips that she does every day. Like, at the end of the day, I run around and do these 10 things. But the title brought you there. And then you still got great advice because you were saying like cleaning tips that like you might not do. But it's just the title that grabs you. All right, I feel like we're running really
at
late.
IdeaFest this weekend, Scott from Unmarketing actually said something about viral. He said that people respond to emotions.
Yep.
And so getting something to go viral is connecting with people on an emotional level. So think about that when you're writing.
Completely agree.
Less about like tips aren't going to go that, viral to keep people coming back to you in the same way that evoking an emotion in someone that they can relate to, they're now feeling and experiencing that emotion, that's going to make it share worthy.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing, that there's a couple things that make a post go viral. And one of them is if the kind of tips, if they're really, like if it's solving a problem that everybody has, like for example, like the one we used with my post, like newborn sleep, my post didn't solve that. But people, that is a problem that new moms, if you had a post that was like 5 tips to ensure that you get a good night's sleep when you have a newborn, that would go viral. So somebody write that. Although it's just
not. Well, on the one hand it would, but on the other hand, like nobody believes that anymore because people are writing those posts and then it's like, put your kid to bed. That's my tip.
Well, but yeah, but if you actually are writing a post that actually does solve a problem,
does something,
that does, but the emotional connection is the other piece to that. And I think it depends on the platform as well. Facebook is more emotional. Pinterest is more solving a problem and how to. So it also depends where you're sharing your stuff, what kind of thing, and that includes too the kind of headlines. So if I'm putting something on Facebook, the image I might use to share on Facebook might have different words than the one on Pinterest, because on Facebook I want the emotional connection. On Pinterest, nobody's emotionally connecting over there. That's not why you're on Pinterest. So yeah,
good stuff. Okay. Alrighty, I think we need to hop off of here. We are late, but this is a fun one. I'm glad you guys are interacting so much because those were really great questions and tips from all of you guys. So,
and if you just joined recently, there will be a recording of that. Like we'll have it posted.
It'll be on YouTube by the end of today.
Are you guys putting it on the Becky and Paula site?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, on the site itself? No, just on our YouTube.
I think there's like a blab thing there that Stephanie, who's commenting, she might like put a feed in there if she can get that. I don't know if that's even possible.
Well, if you click the YouTube thing on our homepage, you can get to that.
Okay.
The blab thing on our homepage just takes us to like either mine or Becky's profile. I'm not sure which one. For
those of you that are new, like Paula said, we have like 900 blogs between the two of us. So we just started a new one, BeckyandPaula.com. I know, because people they do like mix us up a lot, and we have we work on a lot of projects together, just the two of us, and so and we do a lot of collaborating like this with other people, and so but we're going to start doing like income reports because, we share ours. If you guys are ever willing and open to share an income report on our page, I would love it so much because we're trying to let people know that bloggers can make money, because it was said a couple years ago at a conference that people didn't think you could even make $1,000 on a blog.
That was me. I didn't think you could.
Yeah. And now obviously we're making more than that. You can read our income reports, but anyway, so if you're willing to share, even if it's that you made $5, that's more than somebody that's starting that doesn't know that you can make any money. So we would love it. I would appreciate it.
Do we have a guide to writing an income report?
It's a good post.
We will make one.
Yeah, we could do that. That's a good idea. I know. Paula is a good hard worker.
You can do those. You can do them anonymously because I know a lot of people are I want to share this and I want to help other bloggers start getting started, but I really don't want my income on the internet. for Becky's more uncomfortable with that. I don't really care. I don't understand the taboo around money. I'm like, I'll sell anybody.
I know. I think because I was raised up north, you like don't talk about money or religion or politics.
Well, I mean, here people are awkward about it too in Texas.
Yeah.
I just think it's strange. It doesn't matter to me because it's just money. But anyway, if you're feeling awkward about it, then we'll just do something like, this is her niche. These are, you know, like her
like anonymous.
We're not going to share who you are. So it's totally up to you because it is a benefit to other bloggers. Like I talk about how my first sponsored post, I actually wrote about this a little bit yesterday. I was given 2 offers from Social Spark, and one was for $150 and one was for $30. And I deleted the $150 one because I was like, there's no way bloggers can be paid that. That's stupid. Clearly spam, delete. And I took $30 instead, and I was happy with it. But if somebody had been sharing income reports and I had an idea of what bloggers can do, even bloggers at my size, I would have been like, forget this $30 crap. I'm taking the $150 one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point.
It'll have like
not
links
to brag
to
about
your
your income. It's just like, hey, let's encourage each other. This is what she's making. This is what she's making. This is what's working over there. Because it's also fascinating. Like Becky makes more on books than I do, and so I can kind of go study for books and her strategies for that and figure out what I'm doing and what I can do better with my books. And Kiki makes more on some of her products that she sells. So I'm like, maybe I should make a product for my audience. So it's an interesting way of comparing and seeing how different people are doing things too. So
I met this girl this weekend. Her name's Tiffany, and I can't even tell you her blog name, but she just started selling hair extensions in January, and she's made $500,000 on them.
Holy crap.
January, yes. So
that's
yes,
crazy.
I know. And so then I was like, okay, I need to do something, not hair extensions, but something. But yeah, the reason I started sharing my income report on our page was just because, which back when it was like blogging on the side, was just because I don't want like my family, like a lot of them know, but family and friends to know, because I just feel like, I know I shouldn't, but I always feel bad. I'm like, oh, like I just feel bad, like making, I don't know, like that's.
Becky only recently started apologizing before all of her income reports. So
I know, yes, I used to do like this is what I do with it. I'm sorry. And I'm like really trying to work myself out of that. Yeah. But like it's hard because like my brother has his doctorate, and so to think that like he went to school for like so many years and like that a blogger would make more, it just like, that's why I always am like,
whatever. They should be a blogger then.
I know. But people don't realize how much time. Like if they knew that we spent like all the night, like from the time kids get to bed till like 3 a.m. working, then they might be like, no, it makes sense.
Well, and it doesn't happen for everybody either. Like a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people, and they're like, I'm doing all the right things. Why isn't my blog growing? And so that does happen too.
Yeah, I agree.
So I put, just so you guys know, in the comment section, I put Becky and Paul, I put the email list for you guys in there so you guys can subscribe and get updates for what they're doing. And then I just put mine in there as well. I'm doing a giveaway this week. So you guys may want to get just for email subscribers, not anybody else.
Kiki, I still need you. Kiki is really good at newsletters, so I'm going to have her help me.
I totally forgot. I remembered last night. Like
I did too.
Oh no, I need to help fix her email.
Yeah, I want like a
newsletter is really fun. I read like Amy Lynn Andrews's and Kiki's and like one other one. So definitely.
I'm glad you're reading it. So, all
right, guys. We'll be back next week.
Woo! Thank you guys for
joining.
I'm gonna kick everybody out because I'm mean. Bye.